There are a lot of things in this day and age that seem to be ruining video games. There's microtransactions, there's live service, there's shoving in NFTs, there's rushing the game out, there's crunch. There's a lot of things that ruin video games. There's gamers. Of course, they're the things that ruin video games the most. But today we're gonna find out what ruins video games the absolute most. We're gonna see if we agree with this. And also, I lied a little bit. It does say modern video games here, but this video was made 5 years ago in 2017. So we're gonna see if, actually 6 years on, the things that were plaguing us 6 years ago continue to plague us to this day. Let's find out.
Even VR in the console market is starting to find a footing. However...
Oh, VR is starting to find a footing. It's crazy that 6 years on, VR is still not as popular as they want it to be. Remember how Meta is spending $1 billion a year on VR headsets just so you can sit in an office room and look at a whiteboard that isn't actually real in 240p graphics?
Digging deeper into the conventions of modern gaming unearths some inner demons. Questionable mechanics, bare-bones titles ready to be bloated with paywall DLC, and of course, microtransactions. Sometimes the industry take their consumer base for granted, treat us like fools. But we can see past your bugs, your glitches, your actions tainting the name of modern video games.
Can we? I mean, can we really say that we see past it if we're still buying these games to this day, and the games that make a lot of mistakes like this are still selling dummy money and getting billion dollars?
I'm Rich from What Culture, and here are 10 annoying things that are ruining modern gaming. Number 10, specialist vision modes. Assassin's Creed brought many good things to the table over the course of its run,
an accessibility
but also brought us Eagle Vision, an X-ray-esque mechanic that allowed the player to differentiate between goodies and baddies from afar. Since then, it's been cropping up in other AAA titles such as The Last of Us, Hitman, Tomb Raider, Batman Arkham games, and even Far Cry.
I thought they meant accessibility like color blindness options. I'm like, bro, how is that ruined video games?
Primal. Batman's inclusion at least makes sense since he's up to his nads in gadgets, but the others don't appear as justified. Used sparingly, the mechanic would be a welcome addition in the bleakest of times, but since you can use it whenever, it's as if the publisher has no faith in our ability to solve our own problems. Number 9.
Oh, I've never even thought about that. That's actually true, isn't it? Whenever there's a vision mode that tells you where the enemy is, or tells you where an item is, or where you're supposed to be going, all you do is spam that button constantly because it makes more sense to use it than to not have it. You're always at a disadvantage if you don't have the button on that tells you where everything is. So you just walk around and crouch around and just slam the button over and over again.
9. Paying money to boost stats. Many titles utilize some kind of microtransaction system, thankfully not always in an obtrusive way. Overwatch and the upcoming Quake Champions microtransaction formula is purely for cosmetic items. But if it stands for more than goofy hats, you get pay to win. Call of Duty Black Ops 3 was the first COD title to introduce microtransactions in the form of cosmetics, weapon camos, and dabbing. But eventually, weapons were added into the mix.
Is it a visceral reaction to a character dabbing in a video game? I hate it so much. I know this is 6 years ago, but Christ almighty. Let's think. Is microtransactions still a problem in modern video games in 2023? Yes, of course they are. They're everywhere. God.
Weapons come from supply drops. Sure, you can grind and get the necessary currency, but it's a longer process in comparison to dropping a few real-life bucks on virtual items.
Damn, you kinda
Not
slammed
everyone
those heads,
can or will spend real money on crates, further dividing those with the good weapons and those with the bad ones. Let's see how well...
We even have Stockholm Syndrome, because in Overwatch 2, they released a battle pass in which you can pay money to get ahead in your little battle pass, and people have went online and started craving the days when there was crates instead, so that you could pay money on the crates to get the skins that they wanted, because they don't like the battle pass. They're like, oh, I wish there was crates that I could spend money on the crates now.
Number 8. Arrows telling you exactly where to go. Getting lost in Minecraft was a bitch. You had to get your bearings, keep exploring, and hope you find your way. Today, however, you can't get lost. You get a honking grey arrow pointing you.
I can't believe that Minecraft is being used as the nostalgic thing now. To me, Minecraft is kind of like new. It's the same with Skyrim. I have a really broken brain at this point, and my sense of time has gone skew-whiff and entirely out the window. That Minecraft is the nostalgia one is crazy. At the same time, I think that arrows that tell you exactly where to go is kind of nice, because I have weird TikTok brain that doesn't allow me to concentrate or pay attention to where I'm going, so I get constantly lost. And if I get lost, I'm just like, oh man, this sucks. I just wish I knew where I was going. I kind of like having an arrow that tells me where to go. I'll disagree with this.
In the right direction. In the case of Grand Theft Auto or Just Cause 3, having a GPS makes sense, but navigation being incorporated into something like the BioShock series was simply patronizing. not exactly being linear nor
That's crazy because BioShock is my favorite game of all time. Slightly agree with this because BioShock isn't super open world. It has very linear levels. So even if you just walk around a little bit, you'll find where you're supposed to be going eventually. And learning the map is part of the experience of playing BioShock because it's a very environmental game. It's all about learning about the city. It's about environmental storytelling. So I guess I can kind of agree with this one. For the most part, though, I like arrows.
Open world. Why not let your players explore what they can of Rapture or Columbia rather than keep them on the straight and narrow? Number 7. Automatic full health recovery. You've just taken a barrage of bullets to the face. Plan? Sit in a corner and suck your thumb until the raspberry jam is cleared. Now you're ready for more pain. Regenerating health denies any real sense of jeopardy. The number of times I've just dropped to prone and waited it out after taking a missile to the jaw have been, well, too many. I'm not saying every title should reintroduce health kits, but regenerating 100% of your health every time just seems ludicrous. Regenerating a portion back and
I do semi-agree with this. Like, a lot of the games that I do enjoy playing, like if you think of Dark Souls and all of those games, those don't have automatic health regeneration, but in a game that you want to keep moving all the time, it kind of makes sense. But at the same time, on the other hand, if you get hit, the answer is just to go prone, and you just sit and be prone. So
having to manually heal to get
That's
back
still
to
an
speed
issue.
would make more sense.
That's not changed.
Number 6, auto aim.
I think it depends on the game, right?
Helicopters, airstrikes, and Metal Gear Solid bosses are perfectly entitled to the ability to shoot an apple from your head from 16 light years away. But the player having the ability to aimbot their opponents, that's a step too far. The biggest culprit here is Grand Theft Auto, as gunplay is a core mechanic. Lining up shots from behind cover and managing a clean headshot without effort is a crime against gaming. Where's the challenge? Where's the skill? Auto aim can be
No, you don't play GTA to have skilled gunplay. That's not the reason that you play it. If you want to play a game to have skill, go play Valorant, man. If you want to really have a game where you have skilled gunplay in it, you play Valorant. But I like the fact that whenever you come out of cover, you kind of at least somewhat around someone. And the dead eye mechanic in Red Dead Redemption is also super sick. I don't think this is a problem.
However, but by default, it's set to on. And you'll want to keep it that way for Battlefield, Far Cry 4, or GTA Online.
Try playing a controller-based game without auto-aim. You'll realize how much of a miserable experience that actually is. Not on keyboard and mouse. Yeah, you don't want auto-aim because you're on a keyboard and mouse. It's so much more precise. But on a controller, it is miserable playing without auto-aim. Horrible. Or aim assist, I guess. They're two different things.
Putting once unlockable content behind paywalls. I grew up playing a crap ton of Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. Finding the port on Xbox Live Arcade was like Christmas, but discovering the battle part of the equation was walled off as a DLC was like receiving an iPhone box with socks in it. Modern fighting games are the most obvious case, with many titles currently having, or will end up having, more DLC characters available than unlockable ones.
Oh man, I used to love the day of unlockable characters where you play the game and you try and unlock characters. They still do it in Smash, so it's okay. We still have Smash at the very least. You have unlockable characters and that, but playing a game to be able to unlock that cool new character that you've been fighting against, there's such a good feeling of accomplishment in that, and there is no feeling of accomplishment in just downloading a character because you paid for it.
Tekken Tag Tournament, where 15 more characters were up for grabs by game progression alone. Number 4, QuickTime events. Yeah, but they're cinematic. Yes, as are 30 FPS cat games. When Shenmue showed a game could rely solely on QuickTime events, it was seen as a cinematic marvel. Whereas 18 years down the line, cinematic is another way of saying not interactive. They're not all bad when used sparingly. God of War uses them only occasionally, and it makes for a good novelty now and again.
I think QuickTime events are dead now. I don't really see QuickTime events in games anymore. I think they've kind of gone the way of the dinosaur, which is nice because when I'm watching a cutscene, I don't want to be like tense and over my controller and like, what if something happens? What if I have to defend myself with a rusty screwdriver or something at the drop of a hat? I don't like feeling that tenseness in cutscenes, so I'll take that. I like that QuickTime events are gone.
But overuse removes any feeling of independent input, and more like the kicking equivalent of Guitar Hero. The simple truth is, QuickTime events are killing what could be great games. So press F to pay your respects. Number 3.
Christ, I forgot how old that meme is. People still use that to this day. I think that's going to continue for a long time. There's only one thing on YouTube that has lasted longer than the press F thing, and that's typing first in the comments section. Someone probably did it on this video, didn't you? If you are watching the video and you type first, I'm onto you. I see you.
Complete early access games. Not so much for the console
That's definitely still a problem.
Watching, but early access games have been brought about on good intentions, but have been abused no end. The idea of getting constant feedback throughout development sounds like a foolproof way to get a game perfect upon release, but some devs have taken it upon themselves to release a title in early access and leave it there. Don't think players haven't taken notice. One Reddit user rallied players together to bombard the DayZ early access page on Steam with negative reviews in response to it reaching over 1,000 1,000 days in early access. Some titles in early access are looking promising to get a 1.0 release within a reasonable time frame, such as PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, but some still lurk around using the early access mantra to do nothing about their game's owies. Number 2.
You want to talk about early access? This video game, Star Citizen, started a Kickstarter, with the production of the game starting in 2010. The Kickstarter has raised over $500 million. And to this day, in 2023, the game is still not finished. It has been in development for 13 years with $500 million. But after more than a decade in development, there is no projected commercial release date currently given. You want to talk about early access? This is the progenitor of early access.
Publishers being afraid to take risks. Remasters are this generation's answer to exclusives, and it makes financial sense. Many games from previous generations hold up very well today, especially with a little facelift. It's safe and at a lower cost in comparison to creating a game from the ground up. But it's killing innovation and creativity on the AAA side. Sequel after remaster after reboot. The reluctance in offering original content is something one would assume would take a chunk out of profits. But if we keep embracing and subsequently funding the rinse and repeat nature of AAA franchises, originality will be left to the indie developers who aren't always given the time of day.
There are always indie developers out there. Big publishers are very scared to take risks. Big publishers are scared to make single player games, apart from Bethesda. Yo, shout out to Bethesda. But they do just constant sequels, constant spaffing out sequels. Not a lot of new games coming out there. When was the last new release that came out and just banged out of a new IP? There was that High on Life. No, not High on Life. There was a Hi-Fi Life or something. The music, the beat-based game that came out. That was banging. That was great. Atomic Heart came out recently. That was a new IP as well. I guess there are a lot of new IPs being released. There's a lot of new chances being taken, and it's a little bit better than it used to be with all the AAA game publishers just spaffing out new sequels constantly.
And number one,
it's a little bit better.
Gamers.
True.
Say what
Facts.
you want about video game advertising being subconscious brainwashing, but our procedure of jumping on every sparkly new bandwagon irrelevant of our response to the previous title further fuels the vicious circle in which AAA gaming exists. Didn't like Assassin's Creed Syndicate? No problem, wash your hands of the franchise. Wait, Egypt, sign me up. We as gamers are a vocal yet inactive demographic. When did we last band together to boycott practices we all agree are not acceptable in our industry? Ubisoft's rinse and repeat, EA and Activision's fetish for paywalls and $1.29 loot boxes bullshit. Stand up and make your voices heard. Now, if you'll excuse me,
Well, I think that, yeah, there's a problem with gamers. We complain about everything constantly, but we still spaff out a ton of money. To be honest, though, a lot of the people that complain aren't the people that are spamming money into mobile games and being whales in mobile games. That's true, that there's very separate audiences, and there's a wide, diverse range of Vimeo gamers. In conclusion, most of these are still a problem, apart from QuickTime events. I guess they're gone. So gamers, rise up, or don't. You can do what you want, and play the games that you like, or complain that there's no games that you like anymore. You can do whatever you want, but make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel. And also, if you want to suggest a video for me to watch, do it in the Subnoodle Discord server in the description.